When a young adult woman, say at the age of 18, leaves home to start her life in college or university or working a job, getting her own place, becoming independent, this is one of the most masculinizing things that can happen to a woman. Other than, being abused in childhood or deeply neglected in childhood, this is going to have a very masculinizing effect on a woman. And there's many reasons for this. One is because it's pushing her into a lot of responsibility. The more responsibility that a woman has to take care of herself without having a man or parents there to take care of her, the more that she has to, or is going to typically, she has to step into her masculine energy, and it's going to shift her more into like a masculine control energy, like a really unhealthy energy as well. And it's going to masculinize her. It is going to put her in this energy that is ultimately, unfortunately, going to repel really healthy, loving, masculine men. The kind of man that a woman needs and wants to take care of her, to make her life easier, to unburden her. And for most women who are leaving home around this age, it's not their fault, right? It's because they're leaving a toxic environment, a really controlling environment, like controlling in a negative sense, like the father or the mother is trying to subjugate her in some kind of way, not leading her in a healthy way with love. Or, she's going out for different opportunities, like going to university or whatever. And women are not told how much of a problem that is for them. They're not told that is setting them up for failure in their love life. The way that it is supposed to be, okay, and I'm going to go kind of back on tradition, but a lot of our traditions are for good reason. It's not because we're just archaic and stupid and didn't know any better back then. Some traditions, yes, maybe sacrificing children to the gods, that one's a bit more problematic. But a lot of our traditions are for very good reason. And one of those traditions is not just the woman, but also the boys would stay at home as well. But I'm going to focus on the women. You would stay at home. You would continue to be taken care of by your parents. That doesn't mean you're just like scrolling on TikTok all day and doing nothing, right? But you're working, you're being productive, you're staying more in your feminine energy, and you're looking to date men for marriage. And, sometimes depending on the culture, the parents could pick the man. I'm not going to get into that, but anyway, the point is, eventually a man comes into your life who wants to claim you, and hopefully you want to be claimed by him. And then you guys court and he marries you. And now the parents are passing off the responsibility of taking care of you to the husband. And now it's the husband's responsibility. And by the way, I can say, I've got a daughter who's almost 3 years old. It's her birthday tomorrow, actually, a 3-year-old birthday. And that's a really, I can feel that as a really big deal, because I feel so much of that responsibility for her. And I don't want her to have to be responsible for herself. That's not it's so promoted as a good, positive thing for a woman to be independent, but it's not. A woman should be capable. Absolutely. A woman should be taught how to be capable, how to do things for herself, including even when a woman gets married to a man, bad things can happen, right? He could get in an accident, he could die, whatever. So a woman should be capable of taking care of herself, but that doesn't mean she's responsible for it. There's a big difference. The responsible for it means there's nothing really to fall back on because nobody is there to take care of you. Whereas the way it should be is a woman is focusing on her passions, her interests, her intellectual pursuits, all of that stuff under the provision of her parents and then eventually her husband. So the husband is there to take care of her while she is gaining competency in many different things that ideally really bring her joy, but then some things that might not bring her joy but are still important to learn in a worst case scenario. So we're going to be talking about that today, and I'm going to be reading a post that I got from Facebook to give you some perspective about why I started talking about this topic in the first place. And then we're also going to be talking more about how moving out early can be really damaging for women. This is going to be important if you're a mother. And this is also going to be important, if you happen to be really young and you're actually still under the care of your parents and thinking maybe I should be independent, move out. And it's also going to be important for a woman who's already unfortunately made that choice or was forced into that choice, just to understand yourself a lot better. So before we do that, I'm going to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Zach Grody. I'm here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication to inspire a man into cherishing you. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that below. Hit the notification bell and be sure to like this video because, of course, I'm going to make sure it's a good one for you. And if you would like help learning how to shift out of your unhealthy patterns and into inspiring a man into giving you everything that you need to stay a very feminine woman, then go below this video, open up the description. You're going to see the links to all of my offers, and a really great place to start is by watching my free webinar at zachrodycoaching.com. Okay, let's read this Facebook post. Reminder that your kids should leave home at 18 is a psyop. Like, your kids should leave home at 18. That quote is a psyop by the central banks to make 10 extended family members pay 10 rents and mortgages, 10 sets of utilities, 10 car payments, and 10 of every item needed for a home, plus entertainment and stress relief to cope with being alone. That's true, and that's why it's also applicable to men in many reasons, but it's far more damaging for women. You know, I left home at 18 to go to university and then eventually to do my own thing, whatever. I ended up just meeting women and dating women and kind of being a bum for a long time. I didn't have many opportunities at home, but overall, doing all of that was really beneficial for me. And there can be benefits for women as well. I'm not saying there's no benefits. I'm just saying there's also harms. There was also the harm to me where I ended up having to live mostly paycheck to paycheck. I could have earned way more money, but I ended up doing that on this very long adventure as being in Peter Pan mode for way longer than I should have. But for women, I'm going to talk about women for a second. For women, it's not just about the financial stress. That's a big part of it. And it keeps you in poverty and it keeps you more in your masculine energy. The other part of this is it removes the protection that you would otherwise have from parents, assuming that they're somewhat healthy. So as an example from that, going to university. You know, I went to university, and in my university, there was like dorm rooms. It was all part of like a really big house that had like, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 people per house, and it was co-ed. And women were, for the most part, just sleeping around with men. I really wish that they would sleep around with me at the time, but they didn't because I was not very well liked or seen as attractive to most women back then. But this happened like very frequently. And for the men, right, the mindset of the men, including me, I just wasn't very successful at it, was like, you know, I want to get laid. I want to sleep with women. It wasn't so much about relationships. It certainly wasn't about like, hey, I want to find my wife. It was about, I want to sleep with women. And that's a very predatory mindset. It's also a very common mindset of men at 18, 19, 20 years old, and for many men much older than that. And a big reason that is a man's mindset is because we don't have much in the way of healthy masculine role models anymore, not coming from our fathers and not just in general. A lot of the men that we look up to as role models, it's all about getting laid. It's not about like, be a respectable man who learns how to be productive, learns how to provide for his family, for his society, and to court a woman into marriage. That's completely broken down. So men have this predatory mindset. And I'm not saying all men. I'm saying men as a general rule. And then we've got women out there who've been conditioned to believe that sex isn't a very big deal, that being promiscuous isn't a very big deal. And again, I am generalizing here. We also have women who do see it as a big deal, but they're in this kind of atmosphere of women sleeping with men that they shouldn't be sleeping with. I firmly believe that the best thing for a woman and a man to do is wait until marriage to have sex, to be intimate together, or at the very bare minimum is to wait to be in a fully committed relationship. And I don't mean like, hey, a man's like, hey, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend, and then you sleep together. I mean like, you can feel in your heart, this man loves me, and he is leading towards lifelong commitment. And he is capable of taking care of my heart. Even if I communicate poorly, even if I make mistakes in my communication, even if I'm accidentally being disrespectful in some way, he's capable of taking care of my heart. So what ends up happening in these situations, it doesn't have to be a dorm house, it can just be out in the world, is that there is no one there typically to protect a woman, not just from men, but also from, mostly it's herself and her bad decisions, especially when there's alcohol involved, when there's drugs involved. There's no one to role model for her how to show up as a woman fully in her self-worth. And so men and women end up doing a lot of things that are not good for them, not good for their hearts, also not good for their bodies. And women end up getting hurt, right? Because when you're 18 and you're going into those situations, you're dumb, okay? Just like when I was 18, I was dumb. I thought I was really smart, but no, I'm dumb. I'm ignorant about how the world works, about relationships, about people, all, like everything. And so even though I didn't really get hurt as a man, for men it's a little bit different. But later on in my life, I ended up definitely hurting a lot of women, not intentionally, but just by being more in that kind of predatory mode, like focusing on being intimate with a woman instead of focusing on leading a woman towards marriage. So I've been a part of that as well, and I take responsibility for that. I don't think I should have, but I just didn't have that mindset that I do now. Anyway, women end up getting hurt, and this ends up masculinizing them. And it's not just hurt from this culture, it's also the culture of just women are not safe to be feminine, to just express their feelings vulnerably, right? And they're not safe in high school. It's even much worse in high school. So it creates a culture of women guarding their hearts, which means being closed off from their self-worth. They're not in their feminine energy. They're not expressing from a beautiful feminine energy. They're not using feminine communication. They're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They're being judged by other people, by other men, by other women, and they end up becoming very masculinized and hurt, resentful, stuck in fears because of these bad experiences that they've had. So they're getting wounded. Right? Wounding typically mainly happens in childhood. And then for a man, like unless a man is really stuck in his feminine energy, he doesn't know how to properly protect himself, it becomes almost impossible to become wounded later on in life. For women, especially the more sensitive that you are, you're still going to continue getting wounded. You're going to get more and more wounded, which is going to shift you into more and more into these masculinized patterns to protect yourself. When I talk about masculinized patterns, right, I'm not a red pill person, okay? I'm not being judgmental towards women. It's like, oh my God, she's so masculine, like women are so terrible. No, yes, like women are acting terribly in our society, but there's no judgment about that. This is just women trying to protect themselves and to protect their hearts the only way that they know how, the only way that you know how. You're not doing this vindictively. There's some people, but I don't think women watching this are typically going to be doing it vindictively. You're doing it because you're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to get your needs met in the only way that you know how. And you're going to learn a lot of bad ways to try to get your needs met and to try to protect yourself when you don't have the cover of healthy parents. Now, of course, can this stuff happen when you're living with your parents? Yes, of course it can. And in some dynamics, it's actually going to be far worse because you got really toxic parents. So I'm not saying you're supposed to, you have to stay with your parents. That's always going to be the best decision. Absolutely not. Sometimes it's the absolute worst decision you can make. What I'm saying is this entire society, this entire toxic society is completely messed up, and it is destroying both men and women, but especially women. I can't even put a judgment on it, but from what I see, depending on the woman you are, it ends up hurting women more. But there's going to be men who are absolutely destroyed as well. We know that. There's lots of male suicides, huge depression, so I shouldn't even put a judgment call on it. But it will masculinize women. That's the main point. It will masculinize women. And why is this a problem? It's a problem because it doesn't feel good for you to be in your masculine energy. But relevant to your love life, what this will do is it will make your energy repulsive to masculine men. And again, I'm not being judgmental about that word. It repels men, healthy men. And it's going to attract unhealthy men, men who are not in their self-worth, men who are in their feminine, men who might be abusive, men who might be neglectful, men who are feeling that energy from you and their energy is resonating with it. Your energy, if you're stuck in wounded patterns, either overt masculine control or covert ones like avoiding sharing your feelings or fawning and complying, that energy is going to attract unhealthy men. Healthy masculine men are going to resonate with women who are healthy, who are in their feminine energy, who know how to use feminine communication, whether it's been formally taught by me or someone else, or whether it was just natural because they got a really healthy, safe childhood and were able to stay in that beautiful frequency, and they're much more in their feminine self-worth. Those are the women that those men are going to be attracted to, and you're not going to get those men And you're going to continue over and over again to have negative experiences because you're attracting the wrong kind of men, and then you're also attracting the wrong kind of behavior from the men that you do attract. Would you like to shift that? There is a way out of that, but it means getting really serious about learning how to shift your patterns, seeing your patterns clearly, shifting your patterns, using feminine communication to shift your patterns, learning how to feel all your feelings, to be with your feelings, to let go of control. And it's a scary thing for women. And if you would like help learning how to do that and the information to do that, then go below this video, open up the description. You're going to see the links to all of my offers. All of them are really helpful. But if you would like really hands-on support from me and my team, then go to the link, The Dream Relationship. That's my Academy link. What you'll do is you'll book a call with me. It's a free call. We'll talk all about what's going on in your love life. We'll talk about why you're stuck, how to get unstuck. We'll create a plan for you as far as, giving you some coaching and strategies on what you need to do to shift so that you're more clear. And then from that, if I believe that, yeah, we can absolutely help you in our academy, we can help you create these shifts, then we can talk about the academy. You can ask me any questions you have about it, and then you could decide whether you'd like to work with us. If that idea resonates with you, you're like, man, I want to talk with this guy. Maybe I'm really scared to do it, but there's something calling me. Just move through that fear. Just do it. I will see you on that call, The Dream Relationship, and we're going to have a fantastic time. See you there.